Hello, Paul. How are you? This is Annabelle from Paraguay. Welcome back to Brit Noise. Tell me, how are you? Have you been?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. All things considered, there's not much for us to do now, so I have to, dress up for whenever I can get the opportunity at the moment. Um, but I've got a lot of homeschooling with my daughter and trying to put out a record at the same time as that, and all of the pandemic restrictions that we've got. It's yeah, it's I've had better times to release a record, but everybody's kind of in the same everybody's got difficulties at the moment, so I feel kind of lucky in many ways that I normally work from home, so I'm not too bothered about being stuck at home with my family at all. But yeah, it would be nice to be able to do my thing with the band.
I was checking back because I remember that I did an interview with you. It was on 2015 when you were releasing Contradictions, your
Oh
solo
yeah.
project. So it's good to talk to you again.
Thank you.
I was checking. There was Contradiction in 2015, and then you have with Maximo Park. That was in 2017, and then again you have another record from your solo project in
Yeah.
2018. You were touring with Maximo Park. So, am I correct to assume that you take only a little time off working of music? You take
Yeah,
only a little breaks.
I never really take any time off. It's just constant. I mean, I think my wife would like a holiday, and obviously the fact that we go on tour, I get to experience all sorts of different cultures. And for me, I see the world so many times. So I think for the sake of my family, we'll try and take a bit more time off in the next couple of years. But yeah, I love making music, and I feel that life is short, and that kind of comes across on the records, I suppose. And they celebrate life, and they're not afraid to discuss our own mortality and that kind of thing. So yeah, to me, I'm lucky really to be able to make music and make a living out of it, and that allows me to make solo records that don't make any money
And
or
it
anything
comes
like
out
that.
naturally, right?
Yeah, it just feels like I can do what I want, and that kind of freedom is very refreshing to the mind. We finished the record at the end of last summer, and I've been waiting for people to hear this
Yeah, that,
Nature
that
Always
is
Wins.
what I was going to ask you. Nature always wins. When did you say in summer 2019?
Yeah, yeah, 2020. So yeah, last year we met up with the producer Ben Allen in February in Newcastle, and he'd come over for some meetings in London, and we really wanted to work with him, and we'd been in contact with him. And we said, why don't you just come up to Newcastle and hang out and go through some of these songs that we've been sending you? And he'd send us some music, which we were working on. The song "All of Me" had his this big keyboard riff on, and this cool guitar line in the verses and chorus. So we were kind of working on that, and Duncan had written a middle eight for it. So we jammed together, and because we have no official keyboard player now, because Lucas, our keyboard player, moved to Australia. We knew that we would need somebody else to play with us. We didn't want to lose the keyboards. It's a big part of our sound and our identity. So we wanted to approach somebody who had those kind of multi instrumentalist skills. And so he came over, and we thought we were going to go to Atlanta, Georgia in the USA to work with him in his studio. And obviously the pandemic came along, and it moved very quickly. The travel bans became official, and we were just about to book the flights when things started to really become quite serious. And so
Mhm.
we pulled the plug on that and decided to just see if we could work it out over the internet.
Was it a good experience to work? I mean, on
It was.
distance. Do you think that you will apply that again if it's necessary? I mean, if it's necessary,
Well,
yes.
yeah,
But
I hope not, because there's nothing that beats being with the producer. There's nothing that beats collaborating with people in the room and just everybody's creating and saying, let's try this, let's do this. And, you know, we tried to do that in Newcastle, you know, with before the pandemic hit, you know, in sort of, I guess that would be 2019, you know, we'd been working on the songs and we kind of needed a few more. And I think, you know, we needed to write more, and that was good. You know, we had songs like Versions of You on the record, which wouldn't have been on if we had have recorded it a little bit earlier. And we were challenged by Ben to write more songs. But yeah, I think considering the circumstances, I'm really proud of it. And at the end of it, you know, during the recording, I was a bit worried that it would sound, you know, a bit bitty, because we like to jump around from song to song. You know, we like something that is more like a slower ballad with kind of ambient synths on it, and then we'll just rock out, you know, and do something quite punky. And to pull all that together is quite a task. At the end of it, I looked back at the process and all of the different kind of corners that we turned during the process, where things just suddenly clicked into place. And all of these different files that we'd been sending over, you know, my vocals were done in my attic top room in my house where it's a bit quieter. And I've got my microphone set up there and my computer. But you know, this album, my vocal bits on it were all recorded on GarageBand on my Mac. You know, it's not a high-tech situation in my house. You know, I'm not technically minded. And so I think a lot of the real hard work came from Duncan, who did a lot of the demos, and you know, he's a real whiz in the studio. He's I think he did sound engineering in Derby, where he's from, before moving to Newcastle. And all along throughout our lifespan as a band, he's always come up trumps with recording demos. And you know, we wouldn't have been signed probably if Duncan wasn't so good at writing songs and coming up with great guitar riffs, but also the recordings, you know, that we did really in 2003 maybe, that ended up on a bit of 7-inch vinyl that we ended up putting in the Rough Trade shop in London. And that's how we got signed to Warp Records, all those, you know, in 2004. So it was, you know, again, in times of trouble, having somebody who's so good at recording and has lots of ideas about recording, you know, Duncan's really well into that sort of sonic side of things. You know, having that was really helpful. And he would send his files over to Ben, and in Atlanta, he would then put them through new amplifiers, put pedals on them, and create all these interesting hybrid sounds, which was what we were going for on this record, trying to, you know, not sound like ourselves, but obviously it's still us writing the songs and still me singing. So you know that it'll still sound in some way like Maximo Park.
The album, I think it keeps the essence of Maximo Park, except for one song. I'm talking about Meeting Up. You sing softly in that one. There is also the sound of the keyboard that gives this song a kind of electric feel. What can you tell me about this song, Meeting Up?
Yeah, it was always, well, we really loved it, but we knew that it was a bit unusual for us. And Duncan came up with a lot of the keyboard lines and sent over the song to me. And I did what I felt naturally, what came naturally and what felt right. And we love melodies, and if it's got the melody, if it's got lyrics that people can relate to, then that's halfway there. And then it comes down to what should we do with it. And when I first heard that song, it reminded me of early Tindersticks, a band that I really like. It is that kind of intimacy. And then we played it to Ben, and he added a little bit of an extra kind of danceable element to it. And he, in collaboration with Tom in the drum recording session, I don't know how it happened, but it suddenly, you know, it became it's kind of a fast song, even though it's a very reflective song and quiet. And when Ben first heard it, he thought it reminded him of Underworld, which is very different from the Tindersticks. So if you cross the Tindersticks with Underworld, you get Meeting Up.
What about the release date? Do you have to push it until the world gets better, or was this supposed to be the release date
Well,
for
it's
the
coming
album?
out. It's coming out on Friday, no matter what. And I think obviously a lot of people have considered pushing things back. And last year, all the films that were supposed to come out in the cinemas were pushed back. All of the books as well. I can understand that because everybody wants the maximum exposure because they've done something that they like, hopefully. But I think one of the other things that it's important that artists keep making their work and keep putting it out so that the world is enriched. And while I wouldn't say that about our album, it's I wouldn't say take it that seriously in some ways, but I would say that music is so powerful to me that if this record can have a little bit of an impact on somebody's life, or it can make them happy when it comes on, YouTube or on the radio, whatever, if it kind of pops out at you one of the songs from it and that improves your day or makes you want to go and get the records and check us out and see what's going on with us, then that to me is very exciting and worthwhile. A lot of our songs are celebrations of everyday life, and they're about small moments in our lives that we sometimes miss, or forget about. And I try and write them down and put them in songs, and that's what I'm looking for on the radio.
Baby Sleep, I mean the video, it is very vintage, the colors, the effects, also the aspect is square, is one by one, and to confirm that it's very vintage, the woman in the end of the video, she handles you a VHS tape. What is it about?
A good question. I don't know myself. Yeah, the video director, Sai, it was his idea to have this child manipulating what's happening to us in a room. And so every time the child does something very basic outside, it kind of affects the vision that you can see, whatever's being taped inside this room. And at the end of it, obviously, we come out with this videotape a little bit confused, and that is supposed to be the video. So it's like a video within a video, and it is a nice bit of fun because there's that, the lady and her son are in lab coats like scientists, and we're inside having ourselves manipulated. And I suppose it's a bit like the song itself being about sleep deprivation and everything becoming a little bit more surreal in some way. Life gets surreal at certain points, and again, I try and sort of write things down and pick up on that. And for me, I've got a 5-year, nearly 5-year-old daughter, and me and my wife have both had a lot of days where we're just walking around going, what's happening here? And it's kind of funny because the song Baby is in so many different pop songs, but I've never used it before because I don't use that word as a term of endearment. And so it was my chance to put it in a pop song, and again have that kind of ambiguity where people are like, who is this baby that's keeping the singer awake? And you can think about who keeps you awake at night and all those kind of things, and it becomes a little bit more of a sort of open pop song. But yeah, it is from that sort of, again, my own experience, and I try and make it as interesting as possible for other people.
Music was a great company in this time of self-isolation, don't you think? Sometimes it kept your faith on the ground, and I think it's time for music to gain some recognition on the field of mental health, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I think people have got the time to listen, and it's difficult because, for example, in the early days of the lockdown over here, I mean, I was quite lucky because we had the record to focus on. So my mind was focused on that. But, it's only a small part of the day, where I would record my vocals and wait to see what happened the day after, and what the other guys in the band would do. So I did have a lot of time on my hands, and I thought, well, maybe I'll read a book or I'll do different things. But after that sort of initial period of not being able to read and just your mind being on other things, I think people are more receptive to books or to music or to anything that kind of makes them feel a bit better or makes them escape somewhere else. When you listen to something and you feel the same way, or you recognize yourself in the song or a situation, then it becomes more like a moment of solidarity and a positive thing to talk about, the world as it is. And so I think, having something to think about that isn't the news, having something that you can sing along to as well. In our music, it is always melodic, and that is something that I think is good. It's really positive to have melody in our lives. I've delved into my record collection that you can see behind me, and each night my daughter picks a record for us to listen to when we're eating at the dining. My dining room table is in front of me with my laptop on. It's not a great time, but you have to look for positives. You have to try and take each day as it comes, in my opinion, because for me, I look forward at the rest of this year, and I don't know whether we'll be able to play the live shows that we've got. A lot of festivals are being cancelled already. Last year's festivals were cancelled, so it's easy to look into the future and see nothing, and see a dark time, at least until the end of the year, maybe. I don't know. And that uncertainty is also something that is very difficult for people to deal with. So I look for small pleasures each day, and I've been playing some of my records each Monday night for a local venue called the Star and Shadow, and because they can't open and put gigs on and put cinema on, I've volunteered for them to do a radio show online every Monday night. I play 90 minutes of songs that I like and talk about them, and it kind of takes up a lot of time to put the records on from vinyl onto my computer and then line everything up and all that kind of stuff. But I get a lot out of it, and there's not many people listening, but I put it on Twitter each week, and a lot of people listen back to it. They tell me, and they've been enjoying it. It's just that idea of sharing something. It's kind of the same with the music that we make.
You also did that Teams Twitter listening party for you were talking about a certain trigger, right? Last year.
Yeah, we did it. Yes, and I did one for my first solo record, Margins, because that was 10 years old last year. So I thought I'll do one for that if Tim lets me, and he did. And yeah, we're going to do one at 9 p.m. British time this Sunday night with a new record, and tell people a little bit about it while they're listening to it, and watch people's reactions. I hope they're good as they come in. And it's a nice way of kind of connecting with people when everybody's at home. And a lot of people have said they're going to get some alcohol involved, and have an interesting night listening to our record in their homes.
Nature always wins. I mean, the title. Does it have to do with the pandemic, or the title came earlier?
Yeah, the title came earlier, and it now means a lot more. Unfortunately, it definitely has been a kind of true statement that's following us around since we announced the record. But initially it came from a walk around my hometown, which is a very industrial place called Billingham in the northeast of England, not too far from where I am in Newcastle, a little bit south of here. And I went back to do some sketches and take photographs of the industrial landscape where my father worked when I was young. And it's kind of weird because a lot of the industry has been closed down, and nature has fought back. The kind of interesting areas on the edge of town where these massive towers are become closer and closer, and lots of industry that's chemical industry. So there's lots of towers and chimneys and pipes running across the road. It's kind of a very unusual area, and it was partly the inspiration for Ridley Scott in Blade Runner. He's from this area, and he used to drive through the same the works at night, the steel works and the chemical works, and it was all lit up like this futuristic city. And so it's definitely inspired me over the years when I've been painting, because I used to do a lot more painting when I was an art student and when I was teaching art and design after the band but just before the band started doing what we do now. So I'd gone back and I'd got this line, nature always wins, and it ended up in the song Child of the Flatlands, and I suppose the child of the flatlands is me, because all of this industry is there because it is a flat kind of valley, really, in Teesside, where I come from. And the more that I thought about the line, the more I thought that it applied to some of the other songs on the record, which are influenced by being a parent and maturing and growing up. I thought, what part of my nature has won out, as I approach middle age, or maybe I'm in it, I don't know. And I started to think, this is a kind of broader thing. You could think about the environment and natural disasters and things. We're often humbled by nature, even though we think as humans we're the bosses. It's again, it's all about finding that balance. And when you stumble upon a phrase like nature always wins, you feel, okay, I can use this, and it'll make people wonder what it's about, hopefully.
I took a look at your tour dates, and of course you have some dates that some gigs that were postponed, but then I saw that you have like 2 shows on one day, like early and later or something like that. Why is that? Is because the capacity that can be used on the venue, right?
Yeah, they're socially distanced shows in big theaters, and so everybody will be sat down. There'll be lots of distance between them, and because we're that we can do it, and we know that it's difficult to put on all of these shows. It's too expensive to do as well. It kind of makes a lot more sense if you've got that small capacity to do 2 shows if you can. And so we're hopefully doing those, but again, it's very up in the air. I think, if we have to reschedule those shows, we will, but you never know. I think one of the ways of doing it this year is socially distanced shows. They're the way of doing live gigs, but obviously it's not the same, and that you have to find a room big enough to do it safely and within the restrictions. And that's I think it's going to be difficult for us if we have to reschedule everything this year, but we will, because we want to play this record, we want to play the songs, we love the album, and I can't wait to go and sing the songs. So it's going to be very much a wait and see policy.
Paul, do you keep jumping like that? Come on, take it easy. Where do you get that energy from?
I'm just trying to stay fit. And I don't know. This is the thing. I don't even know why I started doing it. It's the music, because our music is so full of energy. But well, this is it. I think I've probably caused myself lots of problems for the future by being so active on stage and playing football in my spare time, and I think I've ruined my knees. But it was good for a good cause, at least.
You're living in Newcastle, right?
That's right, yeah.
And you're a big fan of soccer, right?
I am. I'm a big Middlesbrough fan, which is my local team.
But do you know any Paraguayan soccer player?
Yeah, what did was that there was a famous goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper.
Yeah, Chilavert, who scored lots of goals from free kicks.
Long time ago.
Oh yeah, well, I'm not so up on my Paraguayan football. And didn't he wore lots of very bright goalkeeping clothes, I think. I'm trying to think of more recent Paraguayan footballers.
Well, there is Miguel Almirón, Mickey.
Oh yes, who plays for Newcastle, yeah. Thank
you for your time. Thank you for sharing that.
All right. Have a nice night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.